Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining our town hall. Tonight, we will give the highlights of the 2023 bond proposal, including the serious infrastructure needs at Tuckahoe Middle School High School and the renovation of College Cafeteria. Our proposed capital project will be voted on by the community on February 15th, which is Wednesday. Tonight, I am joined by the following panel members who will help answer any questions you may have at the end of this short presentation. I'm here with Ms. Faith Sparks, our business manager, Mr. Peter Casson, Board of Ed President and Facilities Committee Representative, Ms. Laura Banky, Board of Ed Vice President and Facilities Committee Representative, Mr. Anthony Russo, Facilities Consultant, Mr. Russ Davison, Architect, and we also have Mr. John LaPlaca here tonight, who is our Security Consultant. The funding being requested is for two distinct purposes: to complete the projects that were part of the 2021 bond that could not be funded due to extraordinary cost escalation, inflation, supply chain issues, and the urgent infrastructure work that is needed to keep the buildings in acceptable condition for the health, safety of our student and staff and for a quality educational environment. The proposed capital project bond addresses areas of the previous project that could not be completed. These include the renovation of the College Cafeteria, renovation of single-use bathrooms, improvements to air filtration and air conditioning in the older parts of both buildings, and the needed masonry work at the middle school, high school. And it also addresses the urgent cost-saving infrastructure and safety needs identified on our 2021 building conditions survey. Just to note, the 2021 capital project was based off of a 2016 building conditions survey. Many of these larger infrastructure items, due to the age of the buildings, have grown significantly. The general operating budget cannot fund these large major repairs. I will now detail the critical components of the proposed project. I begin with infrastructure. And you've seen this in different presentations, but our old pipes have become clogged with mineral buildup. They're corroded, and it is reducing the flow of hot water of our heating system. By repairing or replacing these pipes, the school's heating system can become more efficient, leading to improved heating and lower energy costs. The leaks in the pipes have led to significant amount of hot water and led to higher heating bills. Replacing old pipes can prevent leaks, reduce water waste, and lower heating costs. Leaks and corrosion of the old pipes and our roofs can also be a safety hazard, as they can cause water damage. By repairing these pipes and replacing them and our roofs, the school can reduce the risk of safety incidents and potential liability. Extended lifespan of the pipes and the roofs can reduce the need for expensive replacement in the future. And the new lighting is also energy efficient, and that will also cut costs. So here's the picture, just so that you get the picture. The conditions of our pipes at the middle school and high school really are in poor condition and have deteriorated significantly. The system is operating inefficiently, causing heating costs to increase substantially. Additionally, we have roof leaks that have caused disruptions, requiring us to close classrooms and relocate students. Though we have patched areas of the roof, this is not sustainable, and it's not a long-term solution. Long-term cost savings in this infrastructure, in this bond, can save money in the long run by reducing the need for repairs and maintenance, increasing energy efficiency, and reducing the risk of major failures. It is unsustainable both operationally and financially to wait until there is an emergency situation to address these infrastructure needs, and this will improve the facilities for the education and safety for our students and staff. Specifically, in terms of infrastructure, the 2023 capital project proposals includes roof replacements in areas that they're needed, pipe and steam trap replacements in the tunnel, and also replacements above the tunnel, masonry repair, new energy efficient interior lightings, a new bell, intercom, and clock system, and new toilet rooms in Cottle. It also addresses health, safety, and learning environment. The additional infrastructure work includes upgrades to the cameras and replacing 30 interior doors at Cottle, which is a safety reason to do this. Replace the entire PA, intercom, bell, and clock system at the middle school, high school. We keep on repairing it. It's really at the end of us being able to do anything, and you can understand how that's a safety issue. New filtration and air conditioning, also better air quality means students will get less sick. And a partial roof replacement and related masonry repair, replacement of all the steam piping and all the traps, and repairing all our leaks are for health and a pleasant learning environment. Cottle cafeteria, I've taken a whole different just approach. So you can see by the pictures here, we are proposing a space that creates a bright light coming through and also has visual connections to the new Siwanoy Boulevard and turf field. The proposed large bay windows will not only bring natural light into the space, they have built-in benches that will provide additional seating. Modern furniture will enhance the space, and round lunch tables will foster a sense of community and bonding. Renovations also include opening up the wall at the serving line, providing room to add new serving equipment, which will allow the students to get their lunch in a more efficient manner. New equipment will also allow us to offer a greater variety of nutritious offerings, including smoothies and parfaits. The new bond includes all our infrastructure needs, but especially at Cottle, you can see right here that on the left is how it currently looks, both outside and inside, and the right is how it's going to look in this proposed project, providing a social and relaxing atmosphere for the students to eat and socialize, and really fixing the whole look of the entire building. The modern and airy and extra seating will encourage conversations. The round tables promote face-to-face interaction and allow students to talk easily to one another. This encourages socialization and helps build relationships. And also the smaller group size at the table are also kids will be able to have conversations rather feeling that they are in a large group. This can force a sense of belonging and can also build better relationships. With more personal space around them, allowing students to feel more comfortable and relaxed during mealtime. And round tables allow for greater diversity in seating arrangements. Kids can sit with different kids. They don't always have to sit with the same kids, and it allows us to look at which kids are sitting with to make sure that all students have a sense of belonging. There have been a few questions about the glass, so I just wanted to put in a slide about this. As I said in the letter to you, that the facilities committee begins any project with consideration to safety. Design is representative of this. When we proposed the original Cottle design for the cafeteria, we did listen to a lot of concerns about the windows, and we made changes to them. The current design represents the resolution to these concerns. The bottom 7 feet of the window glass will be fritted, frosted, so to obscure individuals from looking into the cafeteria. The glass will also contain insulated shooter attack glazing. And while previous presentations did not include the updated photo, here we have in both photos of this cafeteria. Now, Ms. Sparks and I will speak about the capital project and the estimated impact on taxpayers. The scope of the work at the elementary school includes renovation of the cafeteria, multipurpose room, which is used for a cafeteria and a multipurpose room, renovation of single-user toilet rooms, and air conditioning ventilation systems for the older classrooms, and that comes to $3 million approximately. And additional infrastructure work includes upgrading the old security cameras and replacing 30 interior doors and replacing lighting to the extent the budget will allow for $450,000. The additional funding for all the work described above at Cottle Elementary School is $3,450,000. The scope of the work at Tuckahoe Middle and Tuckahoe High School include masonry restoration and new air conditioning ventilation for classrooms in the older portion of the building, which comes to $1 million. Additional infrastructure work at the building includes partial roof replacement and masonry repair for that. replacement of all seam piping and traps in the tunnel and also below the tunnel and above the tunnel, repair leaking plumbing pipings and replace the entire PA intercom bell and clock system. The replacement of interior lighting to the extent the budget will allow for $4,800,000 approximately. The additional funding for all the work described above at Tuckahoe Middle School High School is $5,800,000.
This slide shows the breakdown of the 2023 proposed project budgets by building, with $3.45 million for Cottle and $5.8 million for the middle high school, bringing the project total to $9.25 million. How does the district propose to fund this project? Funding is proposed as $750,000 from the district's 2020 Capital Reserve Fund and $8.5 million in bonds. We will also have some funds remaining from the 2021 project to act as a cushion of approximately 1.6 million. If we do not need that 1.6 million, we will not use it and the bond will be reduced. For this proposed project, the cost again is $9.25 million, and the district proposes using $750,000 of the capital reserve that was established in 2020. The current balance of which is $1,550,000. This leaves $8,500,000 to be funded with debt and bonds. We estimate the annual cost of this debt to be $805,000 per year. This is an estimate based on current market rates, but we do not anticipate going into long-term funding for a couple of years. Our hopes are that interest rates will come down by that time. We are anticipating annual state building aid at $148,000 a year, approximately 24%. Bringing the net cost of debt after building aid to $657,000 annually. We estimate this project would cost the average homeowner $335 annually. How do we pay for large-scale projects? Large-scale capital improvement projects cannot be accomplished within an annual budget. School districts issue bonds to fund large capital improvement projects. Debt service payments are typically amortized over time, usually to align with building aid. And we also get to maximize New York State building aid when we do capital projects. School districts may only borrow up to the amount of funds that have been authorized by a voter-approved referendum. School districts can also use a capital reserve to finance all or part of the cost of construction, reconstruction, or acquisition of a specific or type of capital improvement or a specific type of equipment. So the total amount of new funding being requested is $9.25 million. Again, we have approximately $1.6 million in funding from the 2021 bond is still available for use in conjunction with this 2023 funding. All figures above do not include that amount. Should these funds not be needed, it will reduce the amount of bonds issued, lowering the cost to taxpayers. $750,000 of this will be provided as a transfer from our capital reserve, and $8.5 million will be new bond issuance. This is an image of what the proposition is going to say when you go to the polls on February 15th. And what you'll see is it's broken out into parts. Part A of the proposition you'll see is what we want to do. We want to expend $9.25 million in the project that we just described. And part B is how we plan to pay for it. This includes the taking money of from the capital reserve and bonding the remaining funds.
Just so to go back to that previous slide, you just go back. So when you go to the polls, you're approving or not approving both parts. It's not an A or a B. You're letting us take $750,000 from our capital reserve budget, reducing the amount of bonding for the taxpayer to $8.5 million. Just clarify that. Now we can go to the next slide. So why now? Upgrades and renovations are needed to the Cottle cafeteria, and due to the age of our middle school and high school building, these infrastructure needs will only continue to worsen. Waiting could lead to more severe and costly repairs, and improvements to ventilation allow for better air quality. This is a solution that will provide students with a safe, healthy environment to learn. So where are we? Well, it's we're very close now. So you see that we've had a lot of communication, through email blasts, through the happenings, through signage, through the newsletter that went to the whole community, principals, coffees, virtual town hall presentations. So we're finished with that. And now we're up to the referendum, which is not tomorrow, which is Valentine's Day, but the day after, which is February 15th. Preparation of, if all this works out, we'll go right to get started. We already have COTL is already approved, so we can get started on that and hopefully do most of the work over the summer. And then we would be waiting on New York State for their review and go ahead, and then we would begin construction on everything else. So again, I just want to thank everybody who's been on the facilities committee. And I also want to thank the Board of Education, the custodians, the administrators, faculty and staff for all of their flexibility and help. Our students have been amazingly flexible throughout all of this, especially with all of, being in the crowded COTL cafeteria, or being, having their classrooms change, or being in one part of the building that's really hot because of our pipes. And we thank our community members for always, all of your support. And of course, our consultant, Anthony Russo and KG&D. And today we also thank John LaPlaca from Alteris, because he also has given us throughout this project some great ideas on security for our school. Again, the referendum vote is on Wednesday, 2 days from today. And now a nice video that will give you the highlights of the bond. And I don't know if some of you saw it. We sent it today. It will also be on Facebook. Okay, hit it. The slide presentation will be available on Facebook. So overall, investing in infrastructure and improvements to a school district can have a positive impact on the education, health and safety, and quality of life for students, staff, and the community as a whole. And this picture is so apropos here. It really was, this beautiful double rainbow was on our field when we opened it this year. And it shows how blessed this community is, I believe, and that Tuckahoe truly leads the way. Thank you. And now we open this up to questions or comments. And Mr. Keogh, we have to thank, I just have to give a shout out. Thank you for being here. He just had a baby and he is still moderating this today. So congratulations and thank you for doing this.
I appreciate it. I need the intellectual stimulation.
I was going to say, this is probably a break for you, Chris. I was
going to say, I haven't talked a lot about budgets with my 2-week-old. So I'm going to open up the chat to questions. I know that we have few members. All right, so the chat is now open. And if you have a question, you can type it in the chat box on the bottom of your screen. You should now have privileges to do that. I do see that there are some attendees with their hands raised. If they want to type their question into the chat, I'll read it out. I don't know if the people in the audience intended to raise their hands. That happens sometimes. I know one question we've gotten at some of the copies is the date and I'm sorry, the times and locations for the vote. So I don't know if Dr. Goodman or Ms. Sparks want to answer that while I look at the question boxes.
Dave,
I'm sorry, I cut out for a second. What was
I
that?
did say, what'd you say?
The polling place and the
Oh, yeah.
times for, yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, so the polls are open. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Cottle School is a polling place and the community center is the other polling place in the village.
Thanks. One question we've received is about the cafeteria glass at Cottle. And it's, will the children be able to see through the glass at Cottle?
So, Russ, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So what's proposed for that glass below 7 feet is to use a fritted, which is like a ceramic dot screen pattern on the inside face of the outer panel of glass. So that obscures vision and blocks glare from the outside in, but you can still see from the inside out. And it's very similar if a lot of car windshields have a fritted pattern on the top, which shields the glare, but you can still see out.
Okay, I know another question we received at the copies that we wanted to clarify was what is all of the money that's been set aside for the project is not spent?
Dave?
Yep. So whatever is not spent is just will not be included in the bond when we go into long-term funding, and it just reduces the amount. So, you know, we're asking for authorization based on the budgets that we put together. But we always try to make sure we come in hopefully under budget, and whatever is not spent will not be included in the bond.
And the reason that we wanted to have a cushion of that extra money is from the 2021 bond is because of what happened this time around. We don't want to get caught with even higher inflation or something like that. So we wanted to make sure that we had the money there. But if it's not used, it will be the bond. You can't charge for what you didn't use. So it would just lower the price of the bond for taxpayers. And what's the annual is $335 for the average?
Yes, that's based on, you know, if we spent everything to the penny.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we just really want to make sure we don't have to do this again, where we come up short for what we promised the community in terms of what we can acquire. So some may think that's a little bit, you know, excessive to keep 1.6 as a cushion, but again, that's just being cautious, learning from our last go around here, knowing that things are still kind of volatile out there. We just want to keep that little bit of cushion, because I really do think this you know, we don't want to have to bother our community again for a while. This is, you know, we've done a lot of work here in the last 2 bonds, and really think this one will get us to a good place for a good time. So we don't want to have to do this again for a while.
All right, and I'll just remind the audience if they have any last questions, they can submit that through the chat box on the bottom of the screen. I don't see any other raised hands. So I believe that may be the end of our questions, Dr. Goodman.
So if anybody has any additional questions, you could email Ms. Sparks or myself also. And again, don't forget to have a good Valentine's Day, and the day after, come out to vote.
Yeah, please encourage your friends and neighbors to come out and vote. We definitely need participation here. So we know it's an off, usually everybody's used to voting in May. This is sort of an off schedule election or vote, not really election, but so yeah, get the word out, please, to tell people to come on out.
And we just want to thank the community once again for, their participation, their good ideas, and all of their support for our students and your children. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Night.